Hi there, Mouseketeers. Welcome to the Disneyland Beat, where our toes tap to a Disneyland drum.
And we always whistle while we work.
Today, we're going to give you the honest, cold, hard costs of a Disneyland trip during the spring of 2022 for a super incredible family of 4.
Let's see the damage.
Like, subscribe, and stick around.
Disneyland is your land.
Come seek an adventure at your pirates, eh?
Make the jump to life.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm TC. Well, in 2022, we know as it's all over the news, the cost of visiting Disney parks are going up. So we wanted to take a close look at how much a 3-day, 5-night trip to Disneyland really costs for out-of-town travelers.
Now, it's probably obvious that you can spend as much as you want or can. There are rooms, meals, VIP tours, and items at Disneyland that would allow you to spend many thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a day. But that's not what this is about. We're going to be looking at this from a budget-friendly point of view, trying to get you the most for your money and spend as little as possible. We're going to look at this for a family of 4.
So the first item on the expense account is your travel. You may choose to drive. Gas costs are very high, and they get higher as you go into California. But if you live less than an 8-hour drive from Anaheim, this might be a good option for you. It does give you a car once you get there if you want to go other places, and renting a car in Southern California can be very expensive. But you should also remember that parking costs money too, almost everywhere you go.
Flying into Disneyland is pretty easy. Typically, you have 3 different airports you can fly into, though there are even more. The closest is Santa Ana or John Wayne Airport by a good bit, and then Long Beach Airport is second, only about 10 to 15 minutes further, though much more likely to have worse traffic. These are small airports, and usually they're really fun to fly into. A lot of times when you deplane, you do that on an outdoor ramp, so if you're coming from a colder climate, the sunshine upon arrival is amazing. If you fly into either airport, you can be at Disneyland in 20 to 30 minutes. There are shuttle and ride-sharing services available.
However, because they're smaller airports, they do tend to be more expensive to fly into. I mean, not always, but lots of the time, especially if you're coming from out of the country or from the East Coast. You're going to find cheaper flights into LAX. But be warned, LAX may look close to Disneyland on a map, but it's not so. LAX is a huge airport, and it's on the other side of Los Angeles from Disneyland, and depending on when you fly in, that could mean it could be over an hour of gridlock traffic to get to your magical destination. And obviously, the cost of that road trip is higher.
If you want to rent a car, that can be pretty pricey in Anaheim. Most cars available at the airports will start at $150 a day after the fees and taxes get added in. Then add in at least $20 a day to park it. One trick there is to take a ride share to a car rental in a nearby town away from the airport. You'll get a better deal. However, if you plan on this trip to stay at Disneyland, we recommend just using ride sharing. It will be far less money in the long run.
Our family of 4, the Parr family, who live in Denver, we'll say, have decided to fly from Denver to Santa Ana. It's the cheapest option, so perfect. Round-trip economy tickets on a non-stop flight with a checked bag and a carry-on average about $350 after fees and taxes. A decent deal, and Mom and Dad like that, so that's $1,400 so far.
Once the Parrs get to the airport, they decide to take a rideshare to Disneyland, which is a good move. It costs about $30 and they leave a decent tip. So let's say $80 round trip.
There are a lot of hotel options inside and near Disneyland. But if you really want to stay inside the Disney bubble, there are 3 park hotels. They are amazing and they're all pretty expensive. The Grand Californian, the headliner probably, is actually attached to Disney California Adventure, has its own entrance. Right in the heart of downtown Disney, too. It truly is the Disneyland bubble. But costs start at $650 a night on weekdays, and they go up to $1,500 a night on weekends, just for the lowest price room you can get. So this one is probably not for the Parrs.
The Disneyland Hotel is also amazing and steeped in Disney history, but it'll run you $500 to $800 a night or more. And even the more economical Paradise Pier Hotel averages $300 to $600 a night. Add in at least $40 a day to park a vehicle on campus too if you have one. Now, there are major perks, and there used to be more. Outside of the staying in the Disney bubble, you'd also get access to the parks an hour early, but at the moment that service doesn't exist. Plus, It can be very flexible and provides a very safe environment, especially if you have older kids. Allowing them to roam the park while having a home base can be awesome. Staying at the Disney hotels is undoubtedly very special.
However, there are off-site hotels at Disneyland that can provide an equally short walk to the front gates and are just barely, though firmly, outside of the bubble, and of course they're far cheaper. It's not quite like staying in an on-site hotel, but many of them do have some Disney theming, and most are nice enough if you're going to spend all of your time in the parks anyhow, so it might be ideal, and really can be what you can afford. On nearby Harbor Boulevard, the costs have been steadily rising, but there are about a dozen hotels within a very reasonable walking distance that range in cost from about $125 to $250 a night. Maybe even less if you shop around and book in advance. And parking will only be $15 to $20 a day.
The Parr family decides to stay at the classic Candy Cane Inn, currently under refurbishment but reopening soon. This place even has a shuttle to the park and a continental breakfast. It costs $165 a night during their stay, which includes parking and tax. They're staying 5 nights. That's $825 plus room tips, so $2,350 spent so far. Now, the hotel costs would be higher if the Parrs were visiting during Christmas or New Year's Eve, or even the 4th of July or Labor Day, but they're just going on a nice spring trip in April. We're still under $2,500 total for this family of 4, but we gotta get inside the park.
The Parr family is also taking our advice and going for that 3-day multi-day ticket. We think 3 days is the ideal length for a person who rarely goes to the park or for whom this might be the only trip you ever take to Disneyland. We have to note that tickets are based on demand pricing too, so getting in the park New Year's Eve could cost up to $180, where an off-season day might be just about $100.
You have a choice between a 1 park a day ticket and a park hopper ticket. The park hopper ticket allows you to visit both Disneyland parks, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, usually called DCA, in the same day. And they're right next to each other, so it's easy to do. Right now, you have to choose which park you'll start in, and then you can switch at 1 p.m.
However, at a cost of $60 per ticket per day for park hopping, we don't think this one is worth it unless you're really only there for 1 or 2 days. With 3 days, we don't think you're going to miss it, and we recommend reserving 2 days at Disneyland and 1 at DCA. This is what we asked the Parrs to do, and on their April trip, their 3-day ticket pass for a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will cost them $1,300 from the Disneyland site, averaging $108 per person per day for tickets. You can save a few dollars, usually around $4 to $5 per ticket or less, by buying your tickets from a third-party site. We have done this many times, and it's fairly easy to do.
So that's $1,300 for 3 days worth of tickets for the Parrs, with a grand total of $3,650 so far. But there's more! Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, the new interactions of FastPass, are here, and they have an add-on charge. And if you're coming from far away and this is perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime trip or something like it, then it's hard to argue the value of turning 45 or hour-long waits into 5 or 10-minute ones.
Genie Plus costs $20 per person per day, and there are also 3 attractions that cost even more to ride, and we're going to budget an additional $20 per day to ride those. So that's a $108 ticket that really is $148 with that service on. But the Parrs go for it, and that brings the grand total up to $4,130.
And hey, this isn't an all-inclusive deal, you know. You gotta eat. The Parr family is trying to save money here, so they're not going to do any table service dining, just counter service, and keep it fairly simple. A fair after-tax price for a meal at Disneyland is $25 per person per meal. So, assuming the Parrs grab breakfast at the hotel, they'll be spending about $200 to $250 a day on 2 meals and a snack for their family of 4. So, let's budget $750 for the 3 days in the park, and trust us, it's not easy to stick to your food budgets when inside Disneyland, so stay strong. And that brings us to our total, $4,880.
And being as realistic as we can, let's budget in at least some shopping money. We will very frugally say $160 at $40 per person for the whole trip, and some expenses money for the 2 travel days at an equally frugal $250.
Which brings us to our grand total for a fly-in, 5 nights, 3 full days in Disneyland trip for a family of 4 in April of 2022 to the all-inclusive price of $5,290 for the Parr Family Disneyland vacation.
Now, you might be able to shave $500 to $1,000 off of your expenses by driving or with some savvy shopping or lucky deals, maybe much more if you live close. And we have lots of tips on our channel to help you do this, but this is the ballpark realistic cost of a trip to Disneyland in 2022. We've made some pretty conservative choices here for this family of 4.
$5,000 is about how much it would cost a family of 4 in Denver to fly to Paris and get hotels for 4 days, or to travel to an all-inclusive resort and spa in Cancun or Jamaica for 4 days too, alcohol and snorkeling included. So it's definitely something to think about.
Some Disney fans have even started to look at Disneyland Paris or Tokyo Disneyland as equally expensive or sometimes even cheaper Disney vacations. I mean, Disneyland is an amazing place, and it's a destination we're going to return to again and again, but it's pricey no matter who you are or how you're looking at it. And it's also probably the cheaper Disney park option in the States. In many ways, it costs less than the Florida counterpart because 3 days at Walt Disney World doesn't even get you in every park, while it does get you on pretty much everything at Disneyland. But a long-distance Disney vacation is just a very expensive proposition, and for many, it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Well, that's it for us today. Thanks so much for joining us.
See you real soon, Mouseketeers.
See you real soon.